Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of RWASOW podcast. We're on episode number 9. Uh, yeah, just the usual weekly roundup of football. Before we start, I suppose it's fitting to sort of say rest in peace or condolences to Alice and his family after his dad sadly passed away the other day. It puts a real reminder on us, on everybody, that football's not the be all and end all. Um, So yeah, just I suppose that's just a good way to start. Suppose we're going to go chronologic this week. We're going to go from the earliest game to the latest game, and just try to do it that way. So to start off, pains me to say it, but Wolves won 1-0 against Leeds.
I'll start out. Good game from both sides. Leeds dominated possession, of course, but both teams had their good spots. Some great saves from both keepers. And Leeds could have scored multiple goals off set pieces. Very unfortunate from Liam Cooper. Could have had a hat trick, to be fair, if he got them on either side of the keeper. Hard luck. Yeah, just very unfortunate for Melia with the OG.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very unfortunate after a great game. It's very unfortunate.
It was the game. Probably it could have went either way.
Mhm.
Leeds had plenty of chances as well, and as Klein said, that OG, I doubt that anything will happen like that again. They might that was pretty unlucky. There wasn't much to say. It was an exciting game both sides. Leeds took a chance. Could have Leeds very easily could have won it, but then so could have Wolves. But Wolves in the end did come out with the points.
Yeah,
I don't think two managers both won't be too disappointed. I don't think Bielsa will be. He'll probably be happy with the way Leeds played. He knows he can work on that.
Maybe be frustrated. Probably be the the best way to describe it. We're talking about Melia there. We obviously give him not stick, but there was questions around him after the Arsenal game. Sort of, every keeper has a bad game, but I have to say against Wolves, I thought he was excellent. In terms of stats, I know stats aren't everything, but he made 5 saves. But then, of course, Ray Patricia made 7. So it seemed to be more of maybe a battle of the keepers.
Yeah.
The keepers done their job. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Just both keepers again made fantastic saves. Just one had a couple more chances against him. I thought that was more of the way it went. It's the reason why Patricia had to make more.
Yeah. It could have raised him 1-1 if it wasn't for the Bamford disallowed goal, and again, it's another unbelievably tight decision.
Close, but I think it was right in the end that he was offside. But good finish nonetheless. He got the
absolutely.
Obviously proves every week nearly that he can find the onion bag, but
and those sort of search for England are becoming a little bit, as the weeks go on, are becoming that little bit more. Yeah, they're becoming a little more solid. We haven't talked about Wolves here. What about Willian Jose as a striker? I suppose that's just the question.
Well, from what I've seen, he's fighting to get. He's getting in the box. He is fighting to get in the box, and he's looking the ball. Maybe there's not. Maybe with him being out on loan, and he's came in for a player that they had such respect in the club. Maybe he's not getting. Maybe they're not. Maybe there's not like a chemistry yet between him and the wingers to get those balls in, because you could see in that match he was shouting when he was in the box and scoring positions, and he just wasn't getting the ball. So obviously we've heard the news that Jimenez is now training back with the first team, so maybe we'll end up getting booted out of the squad, putting on the bench. But he looked hungry for the ball. He just didn't get it.
No, he's just a stopgap, I think, really. Fall in there, hopefully Jimenez gets back to full health, and go from there. Then the plan was probably we'll bring him in and see if he can score us a few goals and sort of tide us over until Jimenez comes back. But I don't think they'll be too disappointed with how he started off anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I, is there anything else to say? Sort of.
It was just a very even game, and
Yeah.
either team could have came out with a one. Just one dud.
Yeah, I think that sums up quite well, quite aptly. So moving on from the first game to the second game of the weekend, which was Southampton Chelsea, which finished up 1-1, and my memory does serve me correct. We said last week, or I think it was you, Harper, said last week that Tuchel hasn't really faced any opposition of proper quality yet.
Yeah.
And I think that this weekend he finally did, and it ended up as a point. And I mean, and Chelsea seemed to dominate the game, but wasted chances.
They just didn't have anything in the final 20 meters of the pitch. They just couldn't get couldn't get anything going.
It was one of them games. Also, they've had a pile of possession, but they aren't creating too much. And then Southampton obviously had a bit of quality in their side. I think that paid off. Minamino with an excellent goal. Southampton, I think, sort of hung in there towards the end. That was natural. It was always going to happen when you're playing on the bigger clubs. Great point for Southampton, because I think they needed something to be going that poorly recently.
Yeah.
And Tuchel probably feels like two drop points for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely massive. I mean, in terms of the table, I mean, Southampton before that, Southampton down in sort of 14th. There's no real shout of relegation, but even now, they're only 8 points clear of the drop zone, and with only one win in, that's now, if you include sort of the Leeds game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 games.
It was also, wasn't it? It was last. Was that the last one? Won?
Yeah. Or no, sorry. They beat Wolves 2-0, and then
the cup game, wasn't it?
But sorry, before that, before that was even just it was Arsenal. Sorry, was that FA Cup? Well, that was the FA Cup. And the league wise, yeah, league wise was no, league wise it was Liverpool. Sorry, I've got the whole wrong. The cup was Wolves. They beat Wolves 2-0.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. Southampton sort of they were so promising at the start of the season, weren't they?
There's just something missing. I don't know what that is, but unless some of their players are just having a maybe I was going to say an off game, but just going through maybe a bad spell. Could be, I don't know. It could be fatigue. Or could be they were living up a high standard and just maybe got them a bit. I don't really know.
No, there is some impressive. I must say that's at least Salisu boy coming on now, playing a good bit more. He's been impressive. Played very well in that game against Chelsea. So maybe they have got. Well, as we can see from a game we'll talk about later on, maybe it's not. But he did have a great performance against Chelsea. Played very well. Had some great cutouts. To be fair, just good penalty for Mount for Chelsea. To be fair, but it's drop points for Chelsea. It's poor from Chelsea from that how much had the ball they had, but so as you say, Southampton getting the points, great for them. They just need more.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Chelsea, you sort of look. They are having all this possession, obviously, and they're creating these chances. What is? You said something's missing from Southampton. There seems to be something missing a wee bit from Chelsea as well in terms of the attacking third. To try and sort of say what it is maybe a bit too much. But can we maybe hazard a guess of what it could be? What they're missing?
Somebody put the ball in the back of the net. Striker number 9. People might say Giroud can do that, but seen that tweet the other night. That tweet calling Giroud world class. It's just far.
If you did a compilation of Giroud's best goals, he would be world class, obviously. But I mean, if you if you did a compilation of Patrick Bamford's goals, you would have said he's world class. So
Yeah.
sort of.
If you've done your Bay Road goals, I think you're.
Well, I mean, I only have
World-class
maybe a few, you know, the few that I can think of. But yeah, I mean, but they have Giroud, they have Tammy Abraham, they have Werner, and Werner, to be fair to him, has sort of been chipping away and trying to get back.
Yeah. He seems to love that left wing, Werner. I don't know if he's maybe prefers it stay out wide. I think he finds more space. I don't know. He keeps mentioning about the Premier League's physicality. The centre halves are huge and they're far quicker. So maybe he finds that soft spot, maybe out in the left wing. He feels like he's more space to attack, maybe. Yeah. I just hope it ain't Haaland they sign.
Haaland to be an
real
in-demand
handful
player,
just
to say the least. You can't just keep. Well, would you? If you're Chelsea, you can keep throwing one out players. And I suppose if you throw enough shit at the wall, it'll stick. Yeah. I was gonna say, would Chelsea go after Danny Ings? But this season, Danny Ings hasn't. Maybe it's just because Southampton haven't been at the races too much. Maybe that's sort of. But I mean, if you let's say hypothetically, Chelsea had Werner, Giroud, Tammy Abraham, and Danny Ings. Surely somebody's gonna score, But
I think if they go for a striker, I think they'll go or try and go big.
Go big or go home, yeah.
No doubt. I know that. Well, Abramovich, he'll throw. No doubt he'll probably back Tuchel at some point.
Oh yeah, but he needs to, I mean, in terms of Chelsea, I mean, they had 4 offsides in that game. And to Southampton's none. And obviously, we talked a few weeks ago about Southampton being wasted chances for Southampton for them being offside. I mean, Chelsea seem to sort of have found that in that game in particular, I suppose, there's 4 offsides to none. And then Chelsea keeper made no saves. It was.
See, I'd love to see a heat map of Chelsea's passes. Like I see, Chelsea had 727 passes. Southampton's 295.
Where those passes
must have been where were they? Must have just been around that back 4 area. That's a crazy amount of passes. 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know what Chelsea fans sort of. And I know it's early days, of course it is. It's only been a month since Tuchel came in.
Yeah.
But I would like to know what Chelsea fans sort of think of his football and how he plays and that side of things, because surely there's a point where possession football, it's got to be more than possession football. It's got to be right. Yeah, it's all well and good having 727 passes in a game, but where are these passes going?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I could be wrong, but I don't remember him doing this with anybody else, being this much possession based. I can't remember Dortmund or PSG. Was he that much obsessed with?
Do you think maybe it's the players that he has that he sort of accommodates to the players?
Could be, yeah.
Because I mean, I agree with the fact that I haven't seen him at another club be this possession based or was it this possession obsessed.
But I mean, it's Chelsea have a lot of technical players who are good in the ball. It might be something to do with it. Yeah.
If you look through the squad at the weekend, there's Reece James good with the ball, Kovacic good with the ball, Mason Mount good with the ball. Zuma's in terms of being a defender, maybe not. I'm not sure. Chilwell good with the ball, Christensen good with the ball, Billy Gilmore, who's obviously one of the up and coming youngsters in the world, technically decent. Jorginho technically decent, and Hakim Ziyech, quite good with the ball.
All neat and tidy. No, neat and tidy. Yeah.
So I think we've again not very much to say about the game. It's
well, here so far, boys.
Yeah. So, dear Lord, just in the next game.
No.
Burnley, West Brom. Burnley, West Brom. The 2 biggest anti-football sides in the universe. I'm 90% sure if you went and watch a League One game, you get more enjoyment out of watching that than than Burnley West Brom.
Well, have you seen that Southend defender's goal from the other day? You would say, he scored
an
from nearly
absolute
the halfway
corker.
line. Top corner.
So I suppose we have to move on, don't we? To this shower of mediocrity.
Well, all you can really say is it was great defense, great performance. They stay in the game with 10 men from West Brom.
And they actually, to look at the stats, they had more shots on target. They didn't outpass Burnley, but they were there or thereabouts, considering they had 10 men. And in terms of sort of the red card and being down 10 men, it was a red card, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no dispute there. Just a dirty 0-0. Maitland-Niles starting. West Brom actually it's Sam Otter, so there's no real attacking intent. But Pereira, Gallagher, Maitland-Niles, Phillips, and then Diagne. Yeah. Up front, they had attacking threats there.
26 fouls in the game.
Just a point of sport.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot what happened in the game, just a dogfight.
Burnley coming off of a good win. I say a good win, an easy win. No, sorry, they played Fulham midweek, and then they played very well against Palace, and then Fulham love a draw. So, you look at West Brom's position now: 14 points, 25 games, 8 points off of Fulham, and 11 points off of Newcastle, which is safety. So, we've been saying it for weeks. I think we've said it every episode. It's a long way back.
It's just even like Fulham, you can see right, there's something there. You can hope that they can get out, but West Brom and no, you just.
I think they just play the same. They keep playing the same type of football, and they just don't change, and they're just going to stay getting these draws and maybe picking up a one here and there. I think that's just what's going to happen.
No, you don't see the goals. Nobody's going to get them any.
They've one win in 17. That's in all competitions. I should preface that with that. One win. Obviously, West Brom fans are maybe livid is the wrong word, but are frustrated that they got rid of Bilic. And even if Bilic had stayed, they might have been in the same position as they are now.
No, definitely, yeah.
But there'd have been a bit of fight about the players. They want to play for the manager because Bilic is good at that. He can make players sort of fight for him, whatever. Big Sam just doesn't inspire your confidence, does he? Doesn't.
Can he motivate you for a match? No.
Exactly. Might give you a pint of gravy and hope that there motivates you. But
he always sends he never goes out to the touchline. It's always Sammy Lee. He's Sammy Lee running around the sideline, screaming and shouting.
He loves it. He loves it.
Nowadays sits back in his chair, sunk down, smacking on his chewing gum every single bloody game. It's just
must have been a big
infuriating to watch.
He loves his chewing gum.
Blue chewing gum. It must be infuriating if you're a player looking over and seeing that. Like I'm just sitting there.
Exactly. Your assistant manager being the one that's sort of barking out the orders, and you're the manager just sitting there doing nothing. Yeah. That's frustrating. Again, nothing really. I think we've sort of covered it all. Moving on to I'll say the upset of the weekend, I suppose, depending. Everton haven't won at Anfield since the 90s. Everton 2, Liverpool 0. Frustrating.
Fair. You know what? Fair play. They won. We can't keep going on saying that we're. It's just. It was sad to watch. Kabak. It was better both Kabak's possession and a good run from Richarlison for the first early on. Penalty. That whenever you hear the words if Trent didn't lift his head, it wouldn't have been a penalty. I think you're getting just about fed up with watching at the minute. Obviously, we lost Hendo. Sad. Nat Phillips came on and played pretty well. From what I thought, he played pretty well. And that came on, but it's a bit depressing at the minute. But
I think it's fair play to Everton. We dominated the game, but that meant nothing. They got the win. I just didn't like the fact it was a derby match, and 2 minutes in, you're 1-0 down. That's not a good sign to start.
Yeah.
Wijnaldum and Thiago were sleeping, and James sort of slipped in behind them and played a good ball through. Neat and tidy finish. And then we could have, once again, it was only a game. We could have played all night. Wouldn't have scored. Firmino was just so infuriating. He had some big chances, and just p-roller to the keeper, scan over the bar. That's where you need your. We're saying Chelsea need Haaland. That's where you need your Haaland. Just buries those chances. Firmino just. I love Firmino. Oh, you really pull your hair out watching him that game. Like, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead.
No. It seems that Firmino and Patrick Bamford sort of swapped abilities. Bamford is now becoming the goal scorer, and I understand that Firmino isn't in Klopp's system to be the goal scorer, but I think we said this in the very first podcast, or at least I did anyway. There's got to be a point where your striker is the man that scores your goals. It's no longer good enough to be a defensive striker. He's got to be more than that. Coming back to the penalty, I'm assuming that you both didn't think it was a penalty.
I don't even want to talk about refs and VAR. Fair enough. I went over the screen and thought, right, I'm going to give a penalty.
Already on the floor. Trent was already on the ground, and he went over the top of him.
It's a fact. I don't want to speak about it. I'll go short. It's the fact that, like, obviously, fair enough. The boys in the VR must have told the ref this is worth a look at, because they must have thought themselves this ain't a penalty, or they wouldn't have told him to go over and look at it. They would have just said, right, penalty. To go over and literally 1-2 seconds, not even watch the replay or anything, barely watch it, and just have the ignorance, the arrogance, turn back and just point straight to the spot. I think that's just what I think wound everybody up. And that just summed it up then when Sigurdsson rolled that in. Started off bad. I thought Alisson had got there too.
At the time, I remember sitting and looking back. I feel a bit of an idiot. Sitting and I was like, I thought it was close. I thought it was not a bad penalty, but I was like, it wasn't great. And then I saw in the replay, it was straight in the corner, and I had to hold my hands up and say, it was an unbelievable penalty.
But
in terms of the penalty call itself, the idea that Trent was running the ground and that Calvert-Lewin went over the top of him. I mean, if Trent isn't on the ground, then he doesn't. Then he doesn't stop. Yeah. Then if he's not on the ground, then he doesn't stop Calvert-Lewin scoring. It's clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. It's just one of those ones.
But I've seen stuff saying like Trent lifted his leg. I don't see where Trent lifts his leg to trip him up. I've seen where it's been pointed out. That he didn't even make contact anywhere near. It sort of was the head out in the back. But we were crap anyway. So we weren't. Everyone deserved this, which is hilarious to say, but. Well done. They got the win, as you say, since
99, I think it is. Is that the last? At Anfield, sorry.
They won the league. That's what they did. They felt they celebrated like they won the league. I'm not going to take any credit away from Everton. We were.
No, I mean, Carragher on Monday Night Football said that he gave man of the match to Ancelotti, and to be fair to Ancelotti, he set up a game plan and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely, obviously there's got to be credit given there. I think now is a good time, I suppose. There was a comment on last week's video, and I'm just I think
Mr. John.
yeah, Mr. Stewart. I'll read the comment out for those who haven't seen the comment. This is it. Topic for this week's discussion: maybe surely Jurgen Klopp was partially to blame for Liverpool's run of recent poor form. 19 points behind league leaders. Yes, there have been injuries, but big clubs should have the squad depth and ability to play with what they have, and all available players in the title-winning side should be able to slot in to play at a high enough standard. Liverpool aren't the only club to experience injuries, and numerous others have defended titles with plenty of injuries. Was there a lack of preparation back in the summer for a title defence, and has Klopp's arrogance and failure to adapt in recent months failed the club and left them in a real fight to get top four? I'll leave the floor open.
Well, I'll start then, since I know John. So me and John, we discussed this in work today as well. The minute I seen him, I was like, "You're in Buller, boy." I don't agree with the comment at all. Probably might be a bit of the United fan in him. He said it's not. He said that's just his genuine opinion.
Yeah.
He said if it was Guardiola, would Guardiola be getting this? Would he be getting called to get sacked and abused, I guess? I said to him, no, Guardiola wouldn't, I don't think. Guardiola said he were shocking last year. Guardiola didn't. I don't think Guardiola did that much abuse. In terms of other teams have won titles with injuries, not like this.
Yeah.
Like centre halves injured, backup centre halves injured, we've had midfields injured, our keepers missed games, Mane's missed games. And then John mentioned about failed to prepare in the summer.
Yes,
You can't prepare. How are you going to prepare for that to happen?
That's not Monday.
And then in terms of Klopp's arrogance and stuff like that, Klopp's brought Liverpool fans what we've dreamed of. A Premier League title and then a Champions League within a matter of seasons. So I just think questioning him at all, I think it's just ridiculous, Mr. Stewart.
I think it's quite insulting, the question of arrogance, because Klopp isn't arrogant. Klopp's passionate. I find Klopp's passion does come. Obviously, Klopp. Fair. I'll put my hands up right now. He shouts and roars on the sidelines to the officials. But at this point, he has fair dues. There's
every manager does it. Yeah.
It's not every manager does it. Jose does it every week. But I don't find it. It's not arrogance. It's passion for the club, passion for the game, passion for what he's got.
But I don't think John's point here is about Klopp as a manager on the touchline or Klopp sort of interviews and the likes. I think maybe his point is about, and I'm not trying to speak on John's behalf, I'm just trying to maybe read between the lines, is that in the summer there was not a lack of investment, but the reason that and I'm obviously, he can't prepare for having as many centre halves as you have injured. I think the reason that you look at sort of Fergie, why he did well, or why he was able to sustain it for so long, is because whenever he realised, hold on a minute, not these players are getting complacent, but he knew exactly when to freshen up the squad, so to speak. A bit of rotation here and there in terms of signing players. Is that down to Klopp maybe, or is that higher up? And I think I know the answer.
But when you look back on our summer, fair enough, we only had 3 signings. People's going to complain at that. We bought Tsimikas.
Yeah.
If we had our solid back line, Robertson would be getting rested plenty. I think that was the plan. Tsimikas would have been in and out. He would be able to rotate. That can't happen because we don't have our solid back 4.
Yeah.
Jota comes in. He can rotate the front 3. That's a good signing. There's 2 players already adding depth.
Yeah.
Brought in Thiago. That's depth midfield. That's adding depth.
Yeah.
But that's all been obviously Jota's been injured. He was flying before that. Simicast had COVID, and he can't play. Well, he can play, but our defence is all over the place. You can't just throw him in. And then Thiago's, he's getting hounded. He could do anything. He'd be hounded. I just don't agree with any of John's points.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I'll agree. Obviously, Kai says about the not bringing in people. I'll agree with that. There's maybe they bring an argument towards it. Maybe we did after one, we thought, right, okay, we've got the best centre back in the world. We've got a very, very solid defence. One young centre back who's going to come on his prime. We're going to be fine, and maybe we didn't account for the amount of injuries we were going to get. But who can? That's the thing. Who can account for that many injuries?
Yeah.
But okay, that's maybe the only point that I'll say. Okay, maybe that was a bit of arrogance on our part, thinking we couldn't get this injured. Maybe we didn't have enough backup ready to play. That's the only part I'll agree with. Anything else, no, I'll not agree. I don't agree really with what I said. But.
If we get top 4 games of the day, it's an unbelievable achievement. And you get people say, no, it's not. But I just hope next year, I don't hope for injuries, but hope a team has to go through this, one of the big teams.
Oh.
So then we can see when they're not allowed to complain or nothing like that, just to see how it goes.
Yeah, I was chatting to a friend of mine who's a Liverpool fan the other night, and he was saying that apparently he was telling me that even in the under 18s, over the past 4 or 5 weeks, there's been 5 or 6 major injuries to sort of players down there, or the younger players down there. Is that then indicative and sort of shows that it's maybe down to the fitness staff and that side of things with the injury, medical staff? That's what I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for. Do they maybe shoulder some of the blame?
I think they've an old medical staff Liverpool left. I think it was last summer. I think he came out on Instagram. He replied to a fan and. Physio.
Oh, sorry, Harvey. You cut out there.
Oh.
You were just you replied to a fan. You replied to a fan. Yes.
I hope I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He replied to a fan, and I don't know if he had a dig at the club, but it was really weird wording, and people were sort of confused by it. And then our physio at the minute, Chris Morgan, came out the other night and sort of he backed the whole staff, and he said basically there's no need to be ignorant or like rude from some of the tweets. I think they must have been getting a lot of abuse. Somebody probably does have to go on the medical staff. I think when Sam Allardyce at West Ham, I think he said he put a lot of emphasis in like the players aren't healthy or fit. He wants to know why.
Mm-hmm.
He answers. But no, I'm not going to give him too much stick yet. I think most of them have been sort of freak accents. But,
yeah. So there. If there are any other comments to come in, we're happy to discuss them and give our thoughts, and you can of course reply to us in the comments again.
John Boy.
So yeah, moving on from Liverpool Everton to another. I don't even know how to describe this game. A relegation 6-pointer, I suppose, really. In Fulham versus Sheffield United. Fulham won 1-0, and it was a real dominant display from Fulham. They dominated the game and then got all 3 points. So there's no real. It's all plus side for Fulham, I suppose.
Yeah, the Fulham played the game correctly. They dominated possessions throughout the game. Good goal from Lookman, and then brought on some more defensive players near the end. They hold it I think they brought on Terry in the 78th, and then Lamina in the 86th, and then finished it off with Cordova Reid.
But that time was fair play.
They're playing it right. Just a really good performance.
It's just one team at the minute is full of confidence, and the other team's just sort of beaten type thing. Maybe beat before they even go on the pitch. But I think at the turning point in that game, we can come to it, was that penalty at the end, or should say it wasn't given. Stonewall. It just sums up the refs. Obviously, that could have been a great point for Sheffield United. I think that's really the only main talking point of that game. There wasn't really nothing else really happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's Fulham are now unbeaten in the last 4. So I mean, I obviously, I'm not a big fan of Scott Parker, but I have to tip my hat and say that he's done a really good job. I mean, it's the second best job out of all the promoted sides, but there's a bit of golfing class from the first and second. But yeah, no, he's done really well in terms of Sheffield United. I'm looking at the formation here, and it's the exact. They're playing the exact, and I know this is hypocritical coming from a Leeds man. Do we think it's time for Chris Wilder to change it up? In terms of his tactics?
I think no, he has to, with the fact that he's lost all 4 main centre halves really. The injury, and I think it is time that he maybe does have to think about moving on to maybe maybe he does have to go into a 4 at the back. Obviously that will hurt them defensively, but if they don't have the players to play them positions, they can't play that formation.
Yeah.
I think.
No, sorry, go ahead, guy.
It's just you do it. It's just getting worse and worse for them, really, injury wise. I know we all aren't fond of Chris Wilder, but you do have to feel for him now at this point that he's getting. Obviously, it should have been a penalty, but it's just for the play. He just doesn't. You just have to admit now at this point they don't have the squad to do it. They don't have the squad to stay in the Premier League now at this point. No. They've just lost. They don't have the players to do it. They made a really poor signing in Ramsdale, who hasn't helped them out whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I don't. One thing I don't understand, even though you might say it's because he's might be too young, but I don't understand why he's just not playing Rian now at this point. Yeah. They spent the money on him, but I just don't understand why they don't play him. I know Sharp's obviously their man. He's been there for a long time now at this point. He scores goals. He's got them up. But I think even McBurney is not. Just put him on instead of McBurney. If they still want to keep playing Sharp, just put him on instead of McBurney. And then obviously McGoldrick comes on.
Yeah. Sorry, Harper, going ahead there.
I was just saying, Klein. It was great with Klein there. That no reason they can't even go 4 at the back, stick 5 midfield, and even go 1 up top. That might help defensively. Like 3 at the backs, it's very strategical. You need to know exactly what you're doing, and if not, your defense is going to get exposed. There should be gaps everywhere, and you're going to concede a bag full.
Which has happened this season.
It's happening. And as Klein mentioned, Brewster. If you picture Brewster in that Brighton team, I would suit him a lot more. That type of passes that he's been thrown in that Sheffield United team, and I think I said at the time it was a good move for Sheffield United, but it wasn't a good move for Brewster, and it hasn't looked like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Klein, you were saying there you have a bit of sympathy for Chris Wilder, and obviously he's had a lot of injuries this season, but I don't. And it's not his fault. Obviously, it's up to the owners to sort of what the investment they do, but they just haven't invested. They didn't invest. They didn't invest in summer, and if they did invest, it wasn't. They invested in Brewster obviously, but otherwise, I don't remember there being a real significant signing. Maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I can remember, there's not really been.
Just Brewster and Ramsdale.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Why is Bogle on the bench? Bogle's literally the only threat,
Aye.
and he's putting him on the bench. Maybe they rest him, fair enough. Oliver Burke on the bench. He's far better than McBurney or Sharp or whatever they're offering. McBurney and Sharp can't even run the length themselves. Get a bit of speed
Yeah.
on there and get the ball up the pitch and try something different.
Yeah. I suppose. Speaking of teams who are trying something different this season, West Ham beat Spurs 2-1. That was a pretty slick segue, if I do say so myself. I mean, I watched the game live, and whilst Spurs, yes, dominated, and you can tell by the stats, like 20 shots to four on target to 4. There was no until Bale came on. Sorry, there was no real threat, or at least I couldn't see a real threat. Just the usual disappointing performance, I suppose, under Jose.
It was the same old Spurs, and Mourinho at the end of the match basically none of the tactics wasn't his problem, which was just that comes across as clear dig at the players. I could be picking them up wrong. That's exactly what it seems like. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Oh, good. No, I won't say that. West Ham once again, brilliant, especially the first half. Early goal always helps. Tonio. Nice poacher's finish. Lingard again. Another goal. Like we were mentioning about England, but if he keeps banging them in, you never know. You can't say no. And as Prackle mentioned, Beale coming on sort of changed things a bit. He brought a bit of life to Spurs. Cracked the bar, which would have made it 2 each, I think. Yeah, it would have made 2 each.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great strike there. If that was a corker.
No, it was a bullet, wasn't it?
yeah.
But it's results like this that are going to drive Harry Kane or away, or make him think anyway. Like I need to get out of here, because that'll wind him up. Games like that, losing there.
In terms of standard, in terms of the league table, I mean, that leaves Spurs 1 point ahead of Leeds. They have a game in hand, yes, of course, but I mean, 1 point ahead of Leeds in the Spurs are 9th. They're now 4 and 3, 7 points off of Chelsea in 5th, and 9 points off of Chelsea or West Ham in 4th. Like it's they've had such a massive drop off, haven't they? After that top of the league, and could Mourinho do it? It's just bombed. They've absolutely bombed. And if you look at the head-to-head,
that's just Tottenham. They just do it every season. Maybe this one's a bit earlier than usual, but
it seems to be a combination of Spurs and Mourinho, though. Would you say? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just Spurs, but
maybe it is weighing more on one side that I would say, in my own personal opinion, that it is maybe it's more weighing on the side of Mourinho. Not Mourinho's style, more of Mourinho as a person. But I think I do find it very inspiring for Moyes whenever he's saying they haven't even hit top gear yet, which is maybe him chatting.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just saying that.
Yeah.
Just chatting about it always, but he is inspiring his players.
You can say that now, like when they're playing well, like he's allowed to say that type thing. Yeah.
But you never know. If West Ham stay up there, maybe get Europa League. That's like what a season. So no one expected West Ham to do this year. Fair play. It's weird to see David Moyes with a smile on his face. But
yeah,
it's really weird. But
there's Moyes too. Like, seeing West Ham going bad, how stressed he looks far fresher. He looks like a completely different person. That shows you that we forget sometimes how like the pressure put on these managers, like week in, week out. And a point with Spurs too. I think when Sherwood was there and BS Boas, it was just the same old Spurs over and over. I'm not saying the Spurs team's anywhere near as bad as that, but sort of that's the same old Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, I would like, again, it's similar to Chelsea fans. I'd like to hear from a Spurs fan, whether it be in the comments or whatever. Are they finally getting fed up with Mourinho in the same way that United fans got fed up with him, in the same way that Chelsea fans got fed up with him, in the same way that, and then we were literally talking 11 years ago with the way that the Real Madrid board got fed up with him. He seems to have hit that sort of self-destruct button, doesn't he? Or he's getting there. Sorry, he's getting there. That's what I mean. Sorry.
It's even when he came in, it was sort of like there was that fear factor. It was like, he's Mourinho and a bit of money. Like, what could he do to this Spurs team? Like, there was that fear. Like, if he could get them in the challenge. But no, it's a long way away from that.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez at the back, and he started Alderweireld on the bench. So, but maybe it was just resting him. But Eric Dyer doesn't feel your confidence. Jeez,
Sanchez two's turned out to be really
not
really
what we thought he would be. Yeah.
Just had a miss with Davison.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, not to say unfortunately, but unfortunately for Spurs, it's more miss than hit. But I think what they're doing now is they're just putting their youth out there more and more. Not their youth, but their younger players. I think that's why Toby isn't playing as much as he was under previous management. But I think I just think at this stage he is throwing himself under the bus with his selections.
No, you're right, Klein. Like, even before the match, like, obviously they played Thursday night, and fair enough, Dele Alli and Bale haven't played a lot of football. He was getting questioned, like, why were they not starting after performances put in midweek? He probably could have. He surely could have started one of them. He could have threw Ali or Bale in there, but he didn't. And like when they came on, they were a completely different side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of sort of an absolutely different side, one of our players not in the team. Another good segue, actually. Aston Villa, they lost 2-1 to Leicester. No Jack Grealish, no Partey. Maybe it's a bit of a hyperbole and a bit of an overreaction to just sort of one game without him.
Were you using that this weekend when you beat them?
Touch wood. Not tempting fate. Leicester, another good 3 points. I would like to say that I was going to put a bet on James Maddison to score, Leicester to win, and somebody else to get carded. It was 28-1.
I was going to do 2-1 and Maddison and Barnes to score. And
I have people to back me up here and say that I'm going to do it, but that's not the point. Leicester another good 3 points. That takes them 49 points. What's that in terms of their form though?
9 points clear.
They were in the league, or from up until they were beat by Slavia Prague. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're unbeaten in 6 in all competitions anyway. So I mean, Rodgers got them doing really well. Obviously, we've said it all season. He's got them doing unbelievably well. Pereira and Castagna. Obviously, Castagna's the right back and Pereira was the right wing. Was that maybe to try and counteract Grealish, or was that a bit of tactical genius or tactical nice from Rodgers?
I think the two players are one and the same as to whether. I think it's the reason they're playing them both on that side is because they can overlap each other. One of them can go. They can both go back and play defensive. Maybe that does leave holes on the left, and obviously Thomas being a younger player. But they did win. I think I did hear there's a bit of a troublesome rumor that maybe they're downplaying this Grealish injury as he's going to be out longer than they say he's going to be out.
Scandal.
I did hear that. If he is out,
Courtney Sources playing. Courtney Sources.
Courtney Sources goes to the player.
He could be out for longer than they say, which is going to be very
quite worrying if you're a Villa fan.
Their season, if he's out for an extended period, they could drop a long way down.
Yeah.
If they don't get themselves Taylor. Obviously, Madison has got a knock as well. He didn't play in that game against Praha. Rumored to
And
not
it's
play,
getting downplayed, and it could be a lot worse. Hip injury as well.
Bloody hell.
but obviously for the two teams, that's going to be massive. I think obviously Leicester are more well prepared for that with the players they have.
Do you think? I'm just.
Barnes could easily just slot into the centre and they can play under, or all Brighton can start. I know they're not as good.
More goal Brighton.
I know they're obviously not as good as Madison,
Yeah.
but utility players that can put a shift on.
I mean,
both. It's tough. Like it will be tough.
Yeah, I mean, both sides could be doing without the injuries at the moment. I mean, obviously, including Grace, Aston Villa have Matty Cash, Holes, and Wesley all out injured. And then you look at Leicester, they have Fafana, James Justin, Wes Morgan, Wes Morgan, what a player. Jose Perez and Danny Pratt out already, adding Madison to that. Tough times. I mean, if Leicester are going to get in the top four, this is the time, or if they're going to stay in top four, this is the time they have to really step up, and the players have to step up and say, look, we have to make the best of this.
It's even worse whenever you think Vardy's just came back.
Yeah.
You want to see with the form that Barnes and Madison have had. You're not going to see how Vardy fits into that. Obviously, we've seen them play midweek against Praha and they lost 2-0. It was a very disappointing performance.
They were so flat.
They didn't even have any. They undersold how good Praha were going to be. They walked into that game 0-0. Like they weren't going to walk that game.
No.
They went to teams Slavia Praha beat. They couldn't have thought they were going to win that easily, but obviously Praha came out and they brought on Barnes and all really late on in the game, and they did nothing for them. So
Sunday too, it was infuriating. Like obviously Liverpool fan, you need Leicester to slip up. Villa looked like nothing without Grealish, and looked like doing anything. There was no threat. You could sit in all game and it was Leicester.
Yeah.
That is worrying if he's out for a while. Like that'll take a lot of confidence out of that team. Like, what are we going to do? Who's the main man here?
I said this. I keep saying this about different fan bases, but I would like to know what Villa fans are thinking. You know, are they really concerned about? Obviously not relegation. I mean, I think they're too far away. They're too far from relegation to sort of maybe be worried. But are they worried that just in general? I mean, it's going to show that if you take Grealish out of the game for Aston Villa, that's it. There's nobody else there that can maybe offer but a threat, offer something.
I don't want a good season ruined.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say it just be out. I think when you take Grealish out of that side, there's not no people that can have creativity, because people like Trezeguet and all have proved before that they're good players. They are creative players. I think it's the fact that they don't have that focal point. They don't have the player that they can all put themselves around and think, right, he's definitely going to have a good game. Which
it gets tough. They have nobody to turn to. Yeah.
They don't have someone to look to and think, right, he's going to put us on a good ball. Guaranteed. Well, we can't say guaranteed in all cases, but I think they'll miss without him, and I think it's just that they lose that focal point without Grealish.
I wonder if Rodgers will be quietly happy with going out against Prague.
Taking
the league.
Yeah.
Could be that,
league and Champions League. Yeah.
Or it could be a start of another drop off like last year, maybe.
Maybe it goes either way.
Well, there was quiet rumors that I seen coming up that Rodgers might be in the contention for the Barcelona job, which would be very interesting.
Rodgers.
Pictures. His wee collapse on the sideline to Messi. That's well done.
We Joe signing for Barcelona. What a day that could be. But speaking of Barcelona, and Barcelona managers, I suppose. We'll suppose we'll move on to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, which sounds a bit weird actually. But yeah, Man City won 1-0 at the weekend. It was the third game of the Sunday fixtures. It was the big one, I suppose, of the weekend, really. Arsenal made it incredibly easy for City all game.
Yeah. City could have scored.
Especially that first 10, 15 minutes, that was all I've never seen football like it along. Like, just absolutely dominating. Like, it could have been, I was watching it, and I was like, this is going to end
Yeah.
a cricket score. Like, it could have been 3 or 4 in no time. But no, to give credit to Arsenal, the more like Arsenal then, they sort of slowly built their way into the game. Might have got a goal or two, but I think they were very lucky that it was
only 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it a bit embarrassing for Arsenal whenever Raheem Sterling is jumping up above your defenders and getting the header. Like, there was no reason. Rob Holding watched that ball go over his head. I have no idea what he was doing. I don't understand why Bellerin wasn't closer to him either.
Probably just didn't think he's not going to do anything in the air. The more worried probably about his speed and his feet rather than he's not going to. Yeah.
Maybe it was just complacency at the start of the match, but it was very embarrassing for that early to be not switched on and being able to defend a easy cross.
Murray's 2 was, I think, he teared Tierney. Well, especially the first, I teared Tierney to bits. Tierney couldn't cope with. Like his feet were like he was just
feet, yeah.
I was just he did have Tierney all over the place. I think Tierney needed help. They don't know if Arsenal, like whatever way the system they were playing, they couldn't get anybody else there. They needed to double up on him. Like Murray was just down the wing, whipped in right foot, cut inside, whipped in the left head. Like so good with both feet. But I don't think Arteta. I don't think I would be too disappointed. I thought, well, we got into there 1-0. We'll take it and move on.
I mean, that win takes City 10 points clear of Man United in second. We've been saying for weeks that the league's done.
It's just a matter of how many.
Yeah, once again, how many for City? And I mean, what we're saying when you said that the Arsenal sort of grew into the game, and City had 599 passes to Arsenal's 479, so there was football being played by Arsenal, particularly towards the end, as you said.
They're believing themselves more then. They started to.
Yeah, they played them. They played themselves into believing themselves, I suppose.
I think once De Bruyne went off too, I think they were able to get a bit more into the game as well because City were.
Yeah, De Bruyne was just taking the hand.
Obviously not frantic, but the City, just without losing, just with De Bruyne going off, obviously they're just bringing him in and out just to get him back from fitness, obviously. Back to
teams do though, like teams nearly forget how to play football against City. Sort of like we get the ball, it's like, gee, how have we got the ball off them? What do we do now? Like they're just like it's panic. Just like what do we do? We're stuck.
Which Leeds
so
did
just
not.
have it.
So I'll take pride in that.
There he goes again. Oh, God.
Well, it's a good
oh God.
But I suppose speaking of teams who don't know how to play football or have forgotten how to play football,
He's loving these reset-ups, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm on a roll tonight. I'm really taking pride in these. Newcastle lost 3-1 to Manchester United, which is incredibly worrying for Newcastle because they're now only 3 points clear of Fulham in the drop zone. And a few weeks ago, I think I was the one that maybe instigated it. I said that the bottom three was set, i.e. Sheffield United, West Brom, and Fulham. As we gave credit to Fulham, we said they've done unbelievably well. They've played themselves back into this. Newcastle have been appallingly bad.
Other than St. Maximin's goal, which was a great goal, they just don't have anything. United proving themselves after a poor performance, really, in their game prior. I think it's just good goals all around. Rashford scoring a really, really good near post goal. That I didn't expect it from what he did when he hit it. I thought he was hitting it across, but he hit that goal and got Dardo. Put it on Dardo's near post, which Dardo should have done better. Dardo was at his near post, but other than that, it was a really good game. James scored a pretty decent goal.
Sorry, hold on. Sorry, Clint. Whenever Dan James is scoring against you, they score. Always scored against us. Never mind. Go ahead, keep going.
And you wanted him actually.
Well, we did want him. We did want him at some stage, but that's never mind.
You were
Keep
getting him
going,
on the back of
Clint.
your shirt. Come on, Bergen.
I was. Well, his name was on the back of a Leeds shirt until bloody Swansea decided they cut the phone lines.
Yeah.
But sorry, Clint, go ahead. Sorry, my point wasn't made.
No, that was a good game. Just good selection. Obviously, Martial going off for Greenwood. Martial was all right. He was okay during the game. Well, he was okay. He was poor. He was better than.
For so long, he's just been. Oh.
He was better than the other dismal performances he's put on.
That wouldn't be hard. That wouldn't be hard. My performance would be better than those performances, you know.
Yeah, well.
Obviously, we've seen the introduction of the young man, Shortier, isn't it? Shortier?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nor seemingly
more youth player.
Good young player, so we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, I mean, he came off Marcus Rashford. And, sorry, he came off Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford a few years ago was, he came on and he burst onto the scene, so there's a possibility. Sorry, Kai, go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't see this game, but from what I heard from work, Newcastle were right in it until 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Newcastle probably played well until after that. Sort of must maybe a bit of fatigue and dropped off. Once again, a penalty. It wouldn't be bothered to talk about referees. Another one for the stat pad, or they slot one in. Fernandez. How can the refs look at that and be like, that's a penalty? They didn't touch him.
I haven't seen the penalty call, so it's quite form for me.
I've seen a replay of it. Who knows what's a penalty at this point? You get blow one on someone, they go down and it'll be a penalty. So.
And then Maguire turns around and elbows Lascelles right in the face.
Yep.
And
VAR
doesn't even look at it. But
yeah, that was.
The Brucey and Newcastle are in trouble. Like Fulham's hunting them down now, big time.
I think 2 or 3 weeks time, Newcastle on the drop.
I honestly, I've heard Newcastle fans talk, and they genuinely do believe it's just a matter of time. And I have to agree that it's just a matter of time before Newcastle go down, and it is a combination of it is obviously yes, Mike Ashley not investing enough on that side of things, but I just think Steve Bruce isn't good enough anymore. I know a few weeks ago, and I'm not trying to bring up anything that I'm trying to be a dick. Harper, you sort of said that Bruce is doing his best job as he can with sort of what he's been provided. I think I heard a Newcastle fan say that the net spend of Steve Bruce is like 100 million, and he came out and said, "Oh, well, Rafa only got to the same stage as me." Yeah, but Rafa had like a net spend of like minus. I think it was something like minus like 11 million or something out there. I don't think Steve Bruce is good enough, and it's sort of the same as West or Sam Allardyce. He couldn't inspire. He genuinely couldn't inspire anybody. I don't feel anything anyway.
Well, the next 3 games is the games where he has to prove himself now. He has Wolves coming up, and then he has Wolves, and then he has a game against West Brom, and then he has who was it again? Newcastle's game after that. I forget actually. But there's those 2 games are games he has to win, and obviously Fulham have Surrey, and then Fulham have Leeds as well. he has to gain separation there, and Fulham have Liverpool.
That's 3 tough games, to be fair. I mean,
it's Wolves at home, away to West Brom, then home to Villa, and away to Brighton. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Those are
They need to get 2 or 3 wins in there. They need to get 2 or 3 wins.
But hold on, I cannot see a single one coming from any of those games. Hold on.
You don't think you could beat Wolves or Villa at home? Way to West Brom? What a Goodison Park. I don't know they don't have Callum Wilson now, but
maybe West Brom, maybe.
I'm just trying to see some hope for Newcastle, but it's tough.
That's the problem. I just don't see any hope at all for them. And it's sad because I like Newcastle as a club. I think they're obviously one of the bigger sides. You obviously want to have the biggest sides in England in the Premier League, but I just don't see any sort of. I don't see any hope for them. As I say, I don't see anything that'll turn it around. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, surprisingly.
See, I wonder if they'd sack him before the end of the season.
Oh, well,
I think it'd be pointless as well. It'd be pointless, wouldn't it? They couldn't do that.
Do they sack him or does he leave?
If he could do, he might walk. If he gets fed up with it, he might. Let me see. Last game is it's meant to be discussed that the other night. The games at the end of the season. Last 2 games: Sheffield United and Fulham. They play Sheffield United and Fulham. They just need to hang around there, and hope the last day and just fight it out.
Yeah, let's hope.
It's down. I think we can say it's down to the 18th spot. It's 19 and 20, I think, are 100% seeded.
Talking of relegation threatened sides, sort of Brighton, Crystal Palace. Palace won 2-1, which is. If Brighton fans ever wanted to know what it was like to be a Leeds fan in the Championship, sometimes this is the game. Just putting it out there. But yeah,
game of FIFA.
Exactly.
It's a game of FIFA.
Game of FIFA.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Clint. Go ahead.
Go ahead. 2. With you could say wonder goal, but you could say any goal for Palace. This day's a wonder goal, but 2 really
the scoring is what's a wonder.
Yeah, really lovely back heel from Mateta to get the first, and then obviously great goal from Benteke. They had it across goal at the end. It was the shock on Graham Potter's face that they lost that game.
Yeah.
The end was just it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for him. Obviously, it was just they had so much of that match, and they just destroyed them possession wise. They had everything, and just obviously Veltman got their goal, but brutal to watch.
Yeah, Harper. Sorry, before you come in.
Go ahead.
The Brighton keeper made no saves. The Palace keeper made 4. Was that the difference, or was there something else? The tough questions are asking this podcast.
I don't know where they start. It is just one of them games.
Yeah.
See, there's days you have one of those games, but then this really was one of those games. 25 shots, 5 on target though. That's not good.
But yeah.
I was trying to mention that Graham Potter. How does that man never gets angry? He didn't do anything. He just actually sat in his seat. He just stunned. Even his press conference, he never gets angry or shows barely any emotion, which can be good. Great result for Palace. Like we're saying, Roy needed a result. New signing, getting you a goal. You're not going to complain with that.
Particularly after 2 absolutely dreadful performances against Burnley and then obviously Leeds. not saying Leeds are the best team, but but yeah, they really did need to absolutely, and I think obviously they were absolutely devastated, torn apart, and dominated. But the point is, who got 3 points?
Exactly.
That was the big thing. That was the big thing where they were destroyed by Leeds, they were destroyed by Burnley. They didn't have a sniff. But
From what?
this game.
Yeah, from
I think
watching
Roy
the
was right.
match.
Oh, go ahead.
Just from watching the match, whenever Welbeck and Lallana came on, and obviously a handbash at the end, there were chances for Brighton to score. Welbeck should have scored, but this could put it on the back of the net.
Yeah, basically. Because Roy was saying after the game, he's like, we're not going to apologise for getting the result the way we did, which he's 100% right. Like, even if they didn't play overly well, they got the points, and that'll put confidence throughout the full team going forward.
Exactly. I mean, that's now for Brighton. In terms of Brighton, that's no wins in 4, and they're only, I mean, it's tight enough, only 4 points clear of Fulham in the relegation zone. But we talk about Newcastle being dragged into the fight. They're in the fight, I suppose. Brighton only been 1 point ahead of them. Do we think they're in the fight as well?
Imagine they go down.
Ben White.
That'd be crazy. They went down. Like that really would. I think that team be buggered. That club, I think, would be buggered if they went down. Amount of players that lose.
Yeah, because I mean, right now you're talking. If you're talking with Ben White, you're talking at least 30 million, 40, I would say probably. That's what they were looking for in the summer from Leeds.
If you go to the Championship, you're getting them much cheaper. Yeah,
you'll get them for half of that easily, if even.
Yeah.
Because you'll not want to be there, and it'll be the same for Basuma. It'll be the same for Trossard, McAllister, Mapai. He'll not stay. They'll not stay.
Donk will want to.
Donk, Burn, Sanchez.
Name every player in that starting lineup.
Exactly. I mean, that's literally what I'm doing. But
yeah,
the points to have in that, they'll not stay. Why would they stay? I mean, never mind. Like Lamptey, is another player that'll absolutely go. But hold on, is he on?
No, he's signed.
No,
He's permanent.
I thought I was embarrassing myself again. It would be mental if they went down.
It really would.
But
it would be very shocking because they have played so well as a team, and obviously Graham Potter's made them improve so much. Maybe, I don't know when Lamptey's back. I'm not sure of that. I haven't actually checked that. Maybe once Lamptey's back. Obviously, Veltman's played well at right back, to be fair. I didn't expect Veltman to play that well at right back. To me, naturally, he's a centre half, but
I think he's played there in Holland. He's played fullback a few times.
He's played both. They didn't play both for Ajax. I think most of Ajax players have played both or played 3 positions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe when we do see Tariq back, maybe we'll see them improve more because they'll have that bomb speed of threat down the side. But until we do, we'll see what happens. If they do end up going down, it'll be a tragedy.
It's back to they need a striker.
It'll be a tragedy. Sorry.
They don't have a goal scorer. Mopai's not as good as I thought he was.
No, exactly.
It was unreal with Brentford, and I thought Brighton's getting him. Like, it was obviously the rumours of Leeds and all was getting linked with him. Imagine getting outbutted by Brighton. Brighton stole
championship side at the time.
Took
more. Still Bamford now, so happy days.
They need number 9.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at their next. You could even go as far as their next sort of 6 or 7 games. You're talking away to West Brom, home to Leicester, away to Southampton, home to Newcastle. That's the big one that week. I mean, I'd like to sort of see the rest of the fixtures in that time because that could be a massive week in terms of relegation. In fact, I'll tell you right now what the round of fixtures. Never mind, I'll not tell you. Home to Newcastle, away to United, home to Everton, away to Chelsea, away to Sheffield United. There's no real games coming up. I suppose there's no easy games. There's no easy games in the Premier League. I completely understand that, absolutely. but there's no real games where it's like they have a run of like, oh, okay, they have a few big sides, they'll probably get beat. It's all big team, relegation team, big team, mid-table team, that type of idea.
I think too they need to suck it up and realize that Leandro Trossard is not a striker. I think they need to put. I know he's good in behind, but I think they do need to put him back out in the wing.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I know you could say Welbeck. No, he's not. He's not good enough to still play. I think if they're going to play two strikers, play two strikers. I think they're not. I just don't think Leandro. He has scored good goals. He's had great chances. He kind of at the start of the season he played some great plays, but I think Alzate playing out in the wing was a bit.
You still a few times actually. It's interesting. Sort of playing boys up like somewhere you think would never play. I think Brighton might need to realise though. Maybe they do, but like actually realise like we're in a situation here. Like
they're in a dogfight.
We're nowhere near out of this.
It is beginning to become a lot like earlier in the season where there's sort of 3 or 4 teams, like even Burnley are only 3 points clear of Newcastle. Southampton, I know Southampton probably won't go down, but still, the point still stands. We're getting to that stage earlier in the season where there was 4 or 5 teams fighting for relegation. And that is quite worrying for Brighton, as we've said, because as we literally, this is 2 months ago, we went through their entire squad and said, yeah, they'll leave. That they will get ravaged, I think, if they go down.
I think that obviously happens with every team that go down, but I think when you look at the way Brighton have performed as a collective this season, I think it will affect them the most out of recent times. I get what you mean.
Yeah. Like if it comes down to like one individual game, like the teams down there, like Brighton say maybe the so-called softer of the teams. Like you wouldn't say like Brighton's going to go and bully stuff like that. Like Newcastle could bully, Burnley could, and then like if it comes down to like one single day, like form goes out the window. It's going to be a matter who wants to stay up and who like who shows up on the day.
And speaking of showing up on the day, who shows up on the day? God, that might be the best one yet.
The worst.
I'm like Gary Lineker with these.
No,
that is not a good thing. We moved our final game of the sort of the weekend, and we're talking about Leeds again. We're talking about Southampton again. Leeds won 3-0. It wasn't as comfortable, and Bielsa himself said that the result didn't reflect the game, and I'd have to agree, because Southampton for the first half, particularly first sort of half hour, were well in the game and were unlucky not to be 1-0. Is it worrying for Southampton? Not losing to the Leeds 3-0, but maybe the manner in which it happened, particularly that second half.
Yeah, they didn't take advantage in that first half. They could have got 1 or 2 goals in that first half. And like we mentioned it before too, that defensive stability is just gone. Like they look wide open. Leeds were cutting through them with ease, especially in that second half.
Yeah.
Even the first half, I mean, Rafinha broke away. It was clean through, but it was a great tackle.
Right. Unbelievable from Ray, who's now injured, by the way, who's now done his ankle.
Broken ankle or something.
The season. Yep. So I mean,
loss.
Who do you see coming in there and doing not the same job, but a very similar job? I mean,
Diallo, I think.
I think is Diallo's
injured. I think he's been off for long, but according to sort of Flash Shores, which is the Bible of football, as we all know.
I think
he's still
they're just going to end up playing Armstrong central.
They could do
They're
that.
probably going to have to do.
Yankwitz or Yankwitz, what do you call him?
There was questions in that game as to selection from Southampton. Obviously, with fitness, you could probably say that, but as to whatever reason that Minamino and Ings didn't start that game baffled me. Ben Rack at right back.
No.
Yeah,
He was
bit of a
getting-
weird one.
He was getting toasted by both of them whenever, obviously, Rafinha started on the left-hand side and then Harrison, then they swapped back to their regular positions. I think it was a well-deserved one, of course. Obviously, we have said that it was the scoreline didn't reflect the game. I think as soon as, in my opinion, as soon as the Southampton questionable decision was rolled out, I think that just flipped it, and I think they were finished.
Mentally. Yeah.
Just finished. I think they were just like, right, we're not getting anything out of this game. Because they did have other questionable decisions during the game as well. There was a lot of calls from Southampton. They were getting very frustrated. I think that's a perfect segue to move on to whether the decision for the goal, the disallowed goal, as to whether it was blown up or
It's
not.
a weird one, isn't it?
I was going to say
What do you
first,
think?
like when Southampton, even when they brought Ings and Minamino on, they done absolutely nothing. I thought they could make it an equaliser here or something.
Yeah, I was concerned myself.
But I think, and then back to the one, I think, and they end up with more seeing it. I think the ref probably made the right call. They just made an absolute disaster of it. Like, turning away, not facing the play, walking about, just hurry up and get on with it. Like, he was taking forever.
You know, and then particularly considering they made it. Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, I think Ward Prowse was Ward Prowse who took it. I think the minute he hit it, then the ref blew. So I think the ref got it right, but once again, refs making it difficult for themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, he made such a not a good decision, but a ballsy decision in the penalty earlier on where Tell leaves the leg hang and goes over. We haven't really sort of looked at not looked at Leeds, but you know, Rafinha. We talk about it every week. He just seems to get better and better and better as the weeks go on. And that free kick was just delicious, to say the least.
You're trading him up well for us. We'll give you that.
Great addition. Like, asked to leave, and then Liverpool like, yeah, we'll pay.
We'll take care of him.
We'll let him sit on our bench and come on it sometimes.
We'll throw I just maybe once few games out here, maybe not a cup game away to somebody might bring him on. Maybe he can warm the bench the rest of the time. Yeah,
he'll just be the new Shaqiri.
Yeah.
Well, moving from Rafinha to another player in the Leeds team, I just think it's just an incredible. And he scored a goal. An incredible player. It's not Patrick Bamford because we were going to talk about him. Stuart Dallas.
Yeah.
Sturdy boy.
I think the word handyman or Mr. Reliable was created for Stuart Dallas, you know. Him or James Milner, one of the two, take your pick. It was a good goal, to be fair. I don't know, hold on. Did he mean to do that, or was that a toe poke, just hoping for the best?
It's a hidden hope. It was a hidden hope. I
would like to disagree.
I think he did mean to just hit it straight, and then he...
just sort of
very luckily hit the outside of his foot and went on the bottom corner.
But still, a top player.
Good game, all in all.
Another good game from Klein.
Good game.
Good game.
That's the way I'll describe every match I see.
Yeah.
Except for anything that involves West Brom.
Or Burnley in there as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I think. I'm happy.
I think that's it, isn't it? Nothing else really happened there, did it?
Yeah, that was brilliant. Just not a Leeds game, you know. No.
Cheers, John, for the question, even though we didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody,
cheers for it.
Please, if whoever's watching, if you're watching and you do have a thought, please leave it in the comments because we do. I think it's obviously better for the audience. You know, if you have a different point come from the audience and sort of discuss in that regard. So if you do have a thought or a question, please do leave it in the comments below, and we'll absolutely respond. So yeah, we'll be back next week as per usual for your weekly dose of red and a splash of white.
Yes.
That's not, that wasn't that. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop with it.
Standard
But yeah,
character.
thanks very much for watching. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe, all that there jazz. And yeah, we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much.
So
Cheers now.
Cheers.